In this video, we're going to be solving logarithmic equations that have more than just one log in them. So our first step is going to be to isolate the logarithm on one side of the equation by itself, and then we're going to condense it into a single log, use an exponential to cancel out that log base, and then check our answers. We want to remember that you can only plug in log of a positive number. So log of 100 is 2, but log of a negative number, you can try it on your calculator, it gives you an error. So answers must be checked because you cannot plug 0 or negative numbers into any log. It doesn't matter the base. If we get an answer where we plug it back in and we're trying to take log of 0, it's not going to be a real solution. So looking at doing this in this first example, we have negative 11 plus log of x plus 3 is supposed to equal negative 10, and we want to figure out what x is. So we're going to start by getting the logarithm on one side by itself. So we need to isolate the logarithm. In other words, we want only the logs on the left. So if we want to do only logs on the left, we need to add 11 to both sides. That way we can cancel out that minus 11 and we have log of x plus log of x plus 3 equals negative 10 plus 11 is 1. And now our next step is going to be to condense those logs. We want to raise them from a base 10 to cancel out with the log, but we can't do that until we condense. So condense before we try to cancel. So we're going to condense this all into one logarithm. And we want to remember that addition is going to mean that we really multiply these. So we have x times x plus 3 for our condensing rules. Addition means multiplication, and then we actually need to multiply these out, which gives us log of x times x is x squared, and x times 3 is 3x, equals 1. And now we want to use an exponential base to cancel out the log. So since it's a common log, that's base 10. So we're going to do 10 to the log of x squared plus 3x equals 10 to the first. Raise both sides from a base 10. That way we can cancel out and we get x squared plus 3x equals 10 to the first. Anything to the first power is just itself. So our next step is to get x by itself. So we're going to solve for x in an x squared function. So to do that, we need to have one side be 0. So we're going to subtract 10 from both sides. X squared plus 3x minus 10 equals 0. You have to have one side be 0 to solve this x squared function. Now we can factor to solve. So we want to multiply to be a negative 10. So we must have a positive times a negative to multiply to be a negative 10. And we want to differ by 3. So we're going to have 5 minus 2 is 3, and 5 times negative 2 is 10. Now, two things can only ever multiply to be 0 as long as one of them is 0. So I want to think about what makes x plus 5 0 and what makes x minus 2 0. Well, what makes x plus 5 0? You could subtract 5 from both sides if you can't tell by looking at it. X must be negative 5. And on the other side, x minus 2 is 0. We can add 2 to both sides and we get x is positive 2. Now, are either of these going to be a real solution? The only way to figure it out is to plug back in to the original function. So we have negative 5 and we have positive 2. And looking at this original function, we cannot take log of negative 5. And same thing here, log of negative 5 plus 3 is really log of negative 2. You cannot take logs of negative numbers. So when you try to plug this back in, it does not work. Now we can grab our calculator and try 2 though and see if it does. So you want to do negative 11 plus common log of 2 plus common log of 2 plus 3 and hit enter and you get out negative 10. So you know you did it correctly. Plugging in 2 back to the original function doesn't give you an error like negative 5 does. It gives you negative 10, which is the exact solution you're supposed to. So We're going to write both answers. We're going to put it across X out, that one that doesn't work because it gives us an error. You can't take log of 0 or a negative number. And we're going to box in the one and only answer that does work. So you always have to check it by plugging back into your calculator to see if it works. Sometimes none of your solutions actually go back into the original function, and then the answer is no solution. But this one of the two could be plugged back in, and you definitely get negative 10 out. So we know not only do we not get an error, but we do get the correct answer. We found the X value we can plug in and get negative 10 out.